Now, as we jump into chapter 9, there are some beautiful, as Taylor had already outlined from the Bible Project's outline, these messianic kingdom chapters. You'll notice there's one verse in here in particular that the gospel writer Matthew picks up on at the triumphal entry, and he's going to emphasize it. It's chapter 9, verse 9, when it says, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem." Notice Hebrew symbolism, Hebrew poetry, symbolic repetition. So you say the same thing a second time using slightly different words or different symbols. "Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation." Now, when you stop right there and think, oh, rejoice, Jerusalem, daughter of Zion, you can cry aloud because your king is coming to you. You would picture a big parade with a big entourage of these big animals and an army with banners marching in might and majesty and power into the city triumphantly. Well, you'll notice how this verse ends, this prophecy. And Matthew, like I said, picks up on this very directly in Matthew chapter 21. Notice it says, when your king comes to you, he's going to be lowly and riding upon an ass and upon a colt, the foal of an ass. You'll notice that it says riding upon an ass and upon a colt, the foal of an ass. That ends up being put into the book of Matthew. I don't think Matthew is confused by Zechariah's Hebrew symbolism. I think it was probably a copyist later on who then made it sound like Jesus was riding on both animals. The reality is it's symbolic repetition. It's the same animal. It's one animal. And Joseph Smith translation changes it to be only the one animal to then match up with what Mark and Luke write, which is just one animal, the foal of a donkey.
It's what you've talked about before. Sometimes from this Greek worldview, we want one-to-one correspondence for everything. And sometimes with this repetition, some writers and commentators over the years have gotten a little confused and said, oh my gosh, Jesus is riding, or the king is riding on two different animals. And it's just understanding the repetition of an idea where you might say something 2 or 3 different ways.
Now, some of you may be thinking to yourself, so what difference does Zechariah 9 verse 9 make other than, yeah, he made a prophecy that the triumphal entry would occur with Jesus riding upon the foal of a donkey? That's a really good question, because for you and me, when Jesus makes his triumphal entries into our life or into our family or into our situations, sometimes we expect something different than what we get. Sometimes we expect him to come riding in on a big white horse with a drawn sword and with a mighty army behind him with trumpets blaring, as will happen at the second coming. But his first coming, and often many of his comings into our life, will come in unexpected ways. He'll come in meek and lowly, in ways that you didn't anticipate, to the point where sometimes we'll actually miss him. We won't recognize the hand of God in our life because we're looking for something too big, too grand, and too glorious. And yet it comes in still, small, simple, everyday acts of kindness from ministering angels from both sides of the veil, blessing our life. And if we plead with the heavens to give us eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart that can feel, we'll probably be a little more receptive to recognizing those triumphal entries that Jesus wants to make in our life, preparing us for that ultimate triumphal entry that he's going to make into the world and into our life when we get to come into his presence again someday down the road.
And I think this ties in really well to how this chapter ends, verse 16 to 17. And the Lord their God shall save them in that day as the flock of his people, for they shall be as the stones of a crown, lifted up as an ensign upon his land. For how great is his goodness, and how great is his beauty! Corn shall make the young men cheerful, and new wine the maids. This beautiful, messianic, the building of the kingdom. Christ is there, God is there. He is saving his people, and the kingdom is flourishing.